The morning sun cast long shadows across the manicured lawns of Windsor Castle as King Charles III reviewed the stack of official documents on his mahogany desk. Among the usual state papers and ceremonial proclamations lay a particular file that had occupied his thoughts for weeks. Inside were detailed proposals from his private secretary, constitutional experts, and senior members of the royal household, all concerning his granddaughter, Princess Charlotte, at 9 years old. Charlotte had already captured the hearts of the British public in ways that surprised even seasoned royal watchers. Unlike her brothers, Prince George and Prince Louis, Charlotte possessed a natural confidence and curiosity that reminded many observers of her late great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. But it was more than just her spirited personality that had caught the king's attention. During recent family gatherings at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, Charles had noticed Charlotte's remarkable interest in the workings of the monarchy. While other children her age might be distracted by games or entertainment, Charlotte would sit quietly during adult conversations, absorbing discussions about royal duties, charitable work, and the constitutional role of the crown. Her questions were thoughtful and demonstrated a maturity that impressed even the most experienced courtiers. The idea had first been suggested by Lady Susan Hussey, one of the Queen's former ladies-in-waiting. During a private dinner at Clarence House, "Your Majesty," she had said carefully, "Princess Charlotte possesses qualities that could greatly benefit the monarchy's future. Perhaps it's time to consider recognizing her potential in a more formal capacity." Charles had initially dismissed the suggestion as premature. After all, Charlotte was still a child, and royal traditions typically reserve significant titles and responsibilities for much later in life. However, as weeks passed, he found himself observing his granddaughter more closely during family events and public appearances. At the recent Trooping the Colour ceremony, Charlotte had conducted herself with remarkable poise on the Buckingham Palace balcony, while her younger brother Louis entertained the crowds with his animated expressions. Charlotte stood with dignity befitting someone much older. She waved at precisely the right moments, maintained perfect posture throughout the lengthy ceremony, and seemed genuinely engaged with the proceedings rather than merely enduring them. More significantly, Charles had received reports from Charlotte's teachers at Lambrook School in Berkshire. Her headmaster had mentioned during a routine meeting with Prince William that Charlotte demonstrated exceptional leadership qualities among her peers. She had organized a successful charity fundraiser for a local animal shelter, showing both compassion and organizational skills that impressed the school staff. The constitutional implications of what Charles was considering were not lost on him. The British monarchy had evolved significantly during his mother's 70-year reign, adapting to modern expectations while preserving essential traditions. Now, as king, Charles faced the challenge of ensuring the institution's continued relevance for future generations. His private secretary, Sir Clive Alderton, had conducted extensive research into historical precedents. While there were few exact parallels, several instances throughout British history showed monarchs recognizing exceptional qualities in younger family members through the granting of special titles or roles. The key was ensuring any such recognition served both the individual and the institution appropriately. The proposal that had emerged from these discussions was unprecedented in its scope and ambition. Rather than waiting until Charlotte reached adulthood to assume significant royal responsibilities, Charles was considering creating an entirely new title that would acknowledge her potential, while providing structured preparation for future service. The suggested title was Princess Royal in Training, a designation that would position Charlotte as the eventual successor to Princess Anne's current role as Princess Royal. This would make Charlotte the first member of the royal family to receive such formal recognition of future responsibilities. At such a young age, the implications extended far beyond mere ceremonial significance. The title would come with specific educational and experiential components designed to prepare Charlotte for future leadership within the royal family. This would include specialized tutoring in constitutional history, diplomatic protocol, and public service, alongside her regular academic studies. More importantly, The role would involve carefully selected public engagements appropriate for someone of Charlotte's age. These might include visiting children's charities, participating in environmental initiatives, and attending cultural events that would broaden her understanding of British society and Commonwealth nations. Charles understood that implementing such a significant change would require delicate handling. The public's reaction would be crucial, as would the response from Parliament and Commonwealth leaders. Any perception that the monarchy was becoming overly focused on children or departing too dramatically from tradition could prove damaging. However, the potential benefits were equally significant. Princess Charlotte had already demonstrated natural charisma that resonated with people of all ages, providing her with a structured path toward greater royal responsibility could help secure public support for the monarchy's future, while giving Charlotte herself a clear sense of purpose and preparation. The king also recognized that times had changed since his own childhood preparation for royal life. Modern monarchs needed different skills and a broader understanding of contemporary society than their predecessors. Starting Charlotte's formal preparation earlier, while ensuring it remained age-appropriate and didn't interfere with her normal development, could provide advantages that previous generations of royals had lacked. As Charles reviewed the final proposal one more time, he considered the personal implications for Charlotte herself. Would such early recognition prove beneficial or burdensome for a 9-year-old? The expert opinions he had sought were divided, with child psychologists emphasizing the importance of maintaining normal childhood experiences alongside any special responsibilities. The decision would ultimately rest with him alone, though he planned to discuss it thoroughly with Prince William and Catherine before making any announcements. As Charlotte's parents, her support would be essential for the success of such an unprecedented initiative. Outside his study window, Charles could see the familiar grounds where he had played as a child. Long before anyone could have imagined he would one day face such momentous decisions about his own granddaughter's future, the weight of tradition and the promise of renewal seemed to hang in the balance as he prepared to make what could be one of the most significant royal announcements in recent memory. The secure telephone line between Windsor Castle and Adelaide Cottage crackled to life as king. Charles placed what he knew would be one of the most important calls of his reign. Prince William answered on the second ring, his voice carrying the familiar warmth reserved for family conversations. "Good morning, Papa," William said, though Charles could detect an underlying tension. The Prince of Wales had received word that his father wished to discuss something significant regarding Charlotte, and such conversations rarely involve routine matters. Charles settled into his favorite armchair, the same one where his mother had made countless difficult decisions during her long reign. "William, I need to share something with you and Catherine. It concerns Charlotte's future and what I believe could be a transformative moment for our family and the monarchy itself." The next 30 minutes unfolded with careful precision as Charles outlined his proposal. He explained the extensive consultations with constitutional experts, the historical research conducted by palace staff, and the detailed framework that had been developed for the new title and its associated responsibilities. William listened in stunned silence as his father described the Princess Royal and training designation and the comprehensive program that would accompany it. When Charles finished speaking, the silence stretched for several moments before William found his voice. "Papa, this is extraordinary," William said slowly. "I need time to process this fully, and Catherine absolutely must be part of this conversation before we proceed any further." Charles had anticipated this response. "Of course. I'm proposing we meet tomorrow evening at Clarence House. Bring Catherine, and we'll discuss every aspect thoroughly. I want you both to understand that nothing will proceed without your complete support in Charlotte's own willingness to accept these responsibilities." That evening at Adelaide Cottage, William sat across from Catherine at their kitchen table, the same space where they made family decisions, away from the formality of royal protocol. The setting sun streamed through the windows as William carefully explained his father's unprecedented proposal. Catherine's initial reaction was protective concern. "She's only 9 years old, William. How can we be certain this won't overwhelm her or rob her of her childhood?" Her voice carried the worry of a mother who had worked hard to provide her children with as normal an upbringing as possible, despite their royal status. "I had the same concerns," William admitted. "But Father has clearly thought this through extensively. The proposal includes safeguards to ensure Charlotte's well-being and normal development remain priorities. It's not about burdening her with adult responsibilities, but rather providing structure for the unique position she's likely to occupy anyway." They discussed the proposal late into the evening, considering every angle from Charlotte's personal development to the public relations implications. Catherine raised important questions about how the new role would affect Charlotte's relationship with her brothers and whether it might create unwanted pressure or sibling rivalry. The couple also considered the broader implications for the monarchy's future. If successful, Charlotte's preparation could help modernize the royal family's approach to training future members while maintaining essential traditions. If mishandled, it could appear to exploit a child for institutional purposes or suggest the monarchy was becoming too removed from normal family dynamics. The following evening's meeting at Clarence House brought together 3 generations of future monarchs in Charles's private study, the room lined with books on constitutional history and decorated with portraits of previous kings and queens, seemed to emphasize the weight of the decision they faced. Catherine had prepared a list of detailed questions about the proposed program structure. How would Charlotte's education be affected? Would she continue at Lambrook School normally, or would there be significant disruptions for royal duties? Sir Clive Alderton, who had joined the meeting at Charles's request, presented a carefully crafted timeline that would integrate gradually increasing responsibilities with Charlotte's existing school schedule. The plan emphasized that her education would remain the primary focus, with royal duties designed to complement rather than interfere with her academic development. The goal is to provide Princess Charlotte with experiences and knowledge that will benefit her future service while ensuring she develops the same foundations as any child her age, Sir Clive explained. "We've consulted with educational experts to create a program that enhances rather than replaces traditional learning."
House
Watched his son and daughter-in-law carefully as they reviewed the detailed proposals. He could see William weighing the potential benefits against the risks, while Catherine approached the matter with the thorough analysis she brought to all decisions affecting their children. The king then shared something he hadn't included in his initial presentation. "I've spoken with him about this extensively. As the current Princess Royal, her insights have been invaluable. She believes Charlotte possesses natural qualities that, with proper guidance, could greatly benefit the monarchy's future effectiveness." Princess Anne's endorsement carried significant weight. Known for her no-nonsense approach to royal duties and her successful modernization of the Princess Royal role, Anne's opinion was respected throughout the family. Her assessment of Charlotte's potential added credibility to Charles's proposal. William finally voiced the question that had been troubling him most. How do we ensure Charlotte wants this herself? At 9, can she truly understand what such a commitment might mean for her future? Charles nodded thoughtfully. That's precisely why I propose we involve Charlotte in the discussion before making any final decisions. She should understand what's being considered and have the opportunity to express her own thoughts and feelings about the possibility. The meeting concluded with an agreement to speak with Charlotte directly within the next week. They would present the idea as an opportunity rather than an expectation, emphasizing that her comfort and enthusiasm would be essential factors in any final decision. Catherine suggested they approach the conversation during their coming weekend at Anmer Hall, their Norfolk retreat where family discussions often felt more natural and relaxed. The informal setting might help Charlotte feel more comfortable expressing her honest thoughts about such a significant proposition as the family prepared to include Charlotte in these historic discussions. None of them could fully anticipate how a 9-year-old's response would shape the future direction of the British monarchy. The next conversation would prove whether Charles's instincts about his granddaughter's readiness for such responsibility were accurate or whether the proposal was premature. Despite its careful preparation, the Norfolk countryside surrounding Anmore Hall provided the perfect backdrop for one of the most significant family conversations in recent royal history. Saturday morning found the Wales family gathered in their comfortable sitting room, with Princess Charlotte curled up in her favorite armchair, completely unaware that the next hour would potentially change the course of her life. William and Catherine had spent considerable time planning their approach to this conversation. They wanted to ensure Charlotte understood the proposal without feeling pressured or overwhelmed by its implications. The 9-year-old had always been remarkably perceptive, but explaining the concept of formal royal responsibility to someone her age required careful consideration. "Darling," Catherine began gently, "Grandpa has been thinking about your future and has an idea he'd like to share with you. But first, we want to know how you feel about the royal duties you've already experienced." Charlotte looked up from the book she'd been reading, her eyes bright with curiosity. "You mean like trooping the color and church services?" "I like them, Mama. It's interesting to see how everything works and meet different people." William exchanged a meaningful glance with his wife before continuing. "That's wonderful to hear. Grandpa has noticed how well you handled these occasions and how interested you seem in understanding the work our family does for the country." Conversation proceeded naturally as Charlotte shared her genuine enthusiasm for royal events and her curiosity about the various ceremonies and charitable work she had observed. Her responses revealed a sophistication that impressed her parents while confirming Charles's assessment of her natural aptitude for royal life. "Would you like to do more of this kind of work as you get older?" Catherine asked carefully. "Not instead of school or playing with friends, but in addition to your normal life?" Charlotte considered the question seriously, her young face showing the same thoughtful expression that had caught the attention of royal observers. "I think I would. When I see Grandpa and Auntie Anne doing their work, it seems important, like they're really helping people." William then introduced the concept that had been developed by Charles and his advisors. "Grandpa has an idea about giving you a special title that would help prepare you for doing more royal work when you're older. It would mean learning extra things about history and how the monarchy works, and occasionally attending special events." The 9-year-old's reaction surprised everyone. Rather than seeming overwhelmed or uncertain, Charlotte appeared genuinely excited by the prospect. "What kind of special title? Would it be like Auntie Anne being the Princess Royal?" Catherine smiled at her daughter's quick understanding. "Actually, yes. Grandpa is thinking about creating a new title called Princess Royal in Training that would be specifically for you. It would mean you're learning to eventually take on some of Auntie Anne's responsibilities when you're much older." Charlotte's eyes widened with genuine delight. "Really? That sounds brilliant. Would I get to visit more charities and meet more people?" "I loved meeting the children at the hospital last month." Her parents were struck by Charlotte's immediate focus on the service aspects of the role rather than any ceremonial elements. This response aligned perfectly with the values they had worked to instill in all their children about using their privileged position to help others. The family spent the next hour discussing what the new title might involve. William and Catherine were careful to emphasize that Charlotte's normal life would remain largely unchanged, with the additional royal education and duties carefully integrated around her existing schedule. Charlotte asked thoughtful questions about how her new responsibilities might affect her time with George and Louis, showing consideration for her brothers that impressed her parents. "Would this mean I couldn't play with them as much? Because I don't want them to feel left out." Catherine reassured her daughter that family time would remain a priority, that the new role was designed to add opportunities rather than replace existing activities. "You'll still have plenty of time with your brothers, and your education at Lambrook will continue exactly as planned." By the end of their conversation, Charlotte had expressed genuine enthusiasm for the proposal, while demonstrating remarkable maturity in her questions and concerns. Her parents felt confident that their daughter understood the opportunity being presented and was genuinely interested, rather than simply trying to please the adults around her. That afternoon, William called his father to report the remarkable success of their family meeting. Charles listened with obvious pleasure as William described Charlotte's thoughtful questions and enthusiastic response to the proposal. She asked if she could write a letter to you expressing her thoughts. William reported. Apparently she wants to thank you properly for considering her for such an important role. Charles was deeply moved by his granddaughter's mature response. The letter, which arrived by special courier that evening, was written in Charlotte's careful handwriting and expressed her understanding of the honor being offered along with her commitment to proving herself worthy of the trust. The final step in the family consultation process involved a private meeting between Charles and Charlotte at Windsor Castle the following Tuesday. The king wanted to ensure his granddaughter fully understood the commitment she was considering and to assess her readiness for such responsibility firsthand. Charlotte arrived at Windsor wearing her best dress and carrying a small notebook where she had written down questions she wanted to ask her grandfather. The sight of her serious preparation for their meeting confirmed Charles's belief that she possessed the conscientiousness necessary for royal service. Their conversation in the king's study lasted nearly 2 hours, covering everything from Charlotte's understanding of royal history to her ideas about how she might contribute to charitable work. Charles was impressed not only by her knowledge but by her genuine compassion and desire to use her position constructively. "Grandpa," Charlotte said near the end of their meeting, "I want you to know I won't let you down. I understand this is important work, and I promise to always try my best." Charles felt a profound sense of certainty as he looked at his earnest granddaughter. The decision that had seemed so complex and fraught with potential complications suddenly felt remarkably clear. Charlotte's natural grace, intelligence, and genuine commitment to service convinced him that the time was right for this stoic step. The formal announcement would require careful preparation and coordination with government officials. But the most important element was now in place: Charlotte's enthusiastic consent and demonstrated readiness for the extraordinary opportunity that lay ahead. The wheels of constitutional procedure began turning with unprecedented speed once King Charles made his final decision to proceed with Princess Charlotte's extraordinary new title. The king's private office worked through the weekend to coordinate the complex web of approvals and consultations required before any official announcement could be made. Sir Clive Alderton found himself managing the most delicate communications operation of his career as he reached out to key figures across the British establishment. The Prime Minister's office received a confidential briefing on Monday morning, with Downing Street officials assured that the constitutional implications had been thoroughly examined by the Crown's legal advisors. Cabinet Secretary was briefed separately about the historical precedents and legal framework that would support the new title. While no formal parliamentary approval was required for the creation of royal titles, the government needed to understand the implications for state functions and public resources that might be involved in Charlotte's expanded role. Commonwealth leaders received discreet advance notice through their high commissioners in London. The reaction from these consultations proved overwhelmingly positive, with several expressing admiration for the monarchy's forward-thinking approach to preparing future generations for royal service. Meanwhile, the palace's media strategy team worked on what they knew would be one of the most closely scrutinized announcements in recent royal history. The challenge lay in presenting Charlotte's new role as a natural evolution of royal tradition, rather than a radical departure from established practice. Rebecca Deakin, who had previously served as Catherine's private secretary and understood the family's communication preferences, was recalled to help manage the announcement strategy. Her experience in handling sensitive royal news involving children would prove invaluable in the coming weeks. The timing of the announcement required careful consideration. Palace officials wanted to avoid any suggestion that Charlotte's new title was related to current political events or designed to distract from other news. They settled on the upcoming week as optimal, allowing for proper preparation while maintaining the element of surprise that would maximize positive coverage. Princess Anne played a crucial role during these preparatory days. As the current Princess Royal, her public endorsement of Charlotte's appointment would carry enormous weight with both media and public opinion. Anne had requested a private meeting with Charlotte to discuss the realities of royal service and ensure her young niece understood both the privileges and challenges ahead. There. Conversation took place in Anne's private sitting room at Gatcombe Park, away from the formality of official palaces. The Princess Royal's approach was characteristically direct as she explained the practical aspects of royal duties and the importance of maintaining dignity under public scrutiny. This title comes with real responsibility, and explained earnestly. People will watch everything you do and form opinions about the monarchy based on your behavior. It's a privilege, but it's also serious work that requires commitment. Charlotte listened intently, asking questions that demonstrated her genuine interest in understanding the role rather than simply accepting praise for receiving it. Her mature engagement with these discussions further convinced Anne that the decision was well-founded. I understand. Auntie Anne, Mama and Papa have been teaching me about being respectful and thinking about others when I'm at public events. I want to do good work like you do. Media preparation intensified as the announcement date approached. The palace's press office prepared comprehensive briefing materials, explaining the historical context and practical implications of Charlotte's new title. They anticipated intense interest from international media as well as domestic coverage. Particular attention was paid to addressing potential criticism about involving such a young child in formal royal duties. The prepared responses emphasized Charlotte's enthusiasm for the role, the careful safeguards built into the program, and the gradual nature of her increased responsibilities. Educational experts who had consulted on the program's development were briefed to speak with media about the benefits of structured preparation for public service. Child development specialists prepared to explain how the role had been designed to enhance rather than burden Charlotte's normal development. The security implications of Charlotte's elevated profile also required careful planning. The Metropolitan Police's Royalty Protection Department conducted assessments of the additional security measures that would be necessary for Charlotte's expanded public role. While ensuring these measures remained appropriate for someone her age, on Wednesday morning, exactly 1 week after Charlotte's successful meeting with her grandfather, King Charles signed the formal letters patent, creating the title Princess Royal in Training and officially conferring it upon his granddaughter. The historic document would be preserved in the royal archives as a record of this unprecedented moment in royal history, the final family gathering. Before the public announcement took place that evening at Clarence House, Charles, William, Catherine, and Charlotte came together to review the statement that would be released the following morning and ensured everyone was prepared for the media attention that would follow. Charlotte seemed remarkably composed as she listened to discussions about interview requests and photo opportunities. Her calmness impressed the adults present and reinforced their confidence in her ability to handle the increased public interest her new title would generate. Tomorrow will be very exciting, Catherine told her daughter. There will be lots of people interested in your new title and what it means. Remember to be yourself and answer questions honestly, just like we've practiced. The king presented Charlotte with a specially commissioned piece of jewelry marking her new role, a delicate pendant featuring the Princess Royal crown design adapted for her age and position. The pendant would serve as a visible symbol of her new status during future public appearances. Charles also gave Charlotte a leather-bound journal where she could record her thoughts and experiences as she began her formal preparation for royal service. This will help you remember these early days when you're older and fully carrying out the Princess Royal duties, he explained, as the family prepared to leave Clarence House that evening. Everyone understood they were on the threshold of a historic moment. The announcement would mark not just Charlotte's entry into formal royal service, but potentially a new model for preparing future generations of royals for their responsibilities. The final preparations were complete. Media strategies were in place, and government consultations had been concluded. Tomorrow would bring the world's attention to a 9-year-old princess, whose extraordinary new title would redefine royal tradition for the 21st century. The success of this unprecedented experiment would depend largely on Charlotte's own ability to grow into the remarkable opportunity that lay ahead of her. Thursday morning dawned crisp and clear across London as Buckingham Palace prepared to release what would become one of the most talked-about royal announcements in decades. At precisely 9 o'clock, the official statement appeared simultaneously on the palace website, social media channels, and in the hands of accredited royal correspondents, who had been given advance notice to prepare their coverage. The announcement read with careful formality. His Majesty the King is pleased to announce that Princess Charlotte of Wales has been granted the title of Princess Royal in Training, effective immediately. This historic appointment recognizes Princess Charlotte's demonstrated commitment to public service and natural aptitude for royal responsibilities. The title includes a comprehensive program of education and gradual introduction to official duties, designed to prepare Her Royal Highness for future service to the Crown and Commonwealth. Within minutes of the release, royal correspondents across Britain began filing reports that would dominate news cycles for weeks to come. The BBC interrupted regular programming for a special bulletin, while social media platforms exploded with reactions, ranging from delight to surprise to thoughtful analysis of the precedent being established. Nicholas Witchell, the BBC's veteran royal correspondent, declared the announcement absolutely unprecedented in modern royal history. And during a live broadcast from outside Buckingham Palace, "We have never seen a member of the royal family receive such formal recognition of future responsibilities at such a young age. This represents a fundamental shift in how the monarchy prepares its members for service." The timing proved masterful as morning television programs scrambled to bring in experts and commentators to explain the significance of Charlotte's new title. Constitutional historian Professor David Starkey appeared on multiple networks, praising the decision as a recognition that modern royal service requires longer and more comprehensive preparation than previous generations. Received international media picked up the story with equal enthusiasm. American networks dedicated extensive coverage to explaining the British royal hierarchy to audiences fascinated by the young princess. CNN's royal correspondent declared it a moment that could define the monarchy's future direction, while noting Charlotte's remarkable poise in previous public appearances. The palace had prepared for intense public interest. But even experienced royal officials were surprised by the overwhelmingly positive initial reaction. Social media analysis showed approval ratings exceeding 90% in early polling, with particular praise for Charlotte's maturity and the thoughtful way her new role had been structured. Princess Charlotte herself experienced the announcement's immediate impact during her regular Thursday morning at Lambrook School. Her headmaster, Jonathan Perry, had been briefed about the timing and worked with her parents to ensure the day proceeded as normally as possible. Despite the historic significance of what had just been announced, Charlotte's classmates had been prepared by their teachers about the respectful way to respond to their friends' news, and the young princess was touched by the congratulations and good wishes she received throughout the day. Her friends' genuine enthusiasm for her achievement helped Charlotte feel supported, rather than isolated by her new status. The afternoon brought the first official engagement related to Charlotte's new title, a carefully orchestrated photo session in the garden of Adelaide Cottage. The images, taken by renowned photographer Chris Jackson, would provide media outlets with official portraits, while giving the public their first glimpse of Charlotte in her new role. Charlotte wore a navy blue dress chosen specifically for its understated elegance. With her new Princess Royal in training, pendant visible but not ostentatious, her natural confidence shone through in the photographs, which captured both her youth and her evident readiness for increased responsibility. The accompanying interview, conducted jointly by her parents, revealed Charlotte's genuine excitement about her new opportunities. "I'm really looking forward to learning more about how to help people," she said with impressive composure. "Grandpa has explained that being royal means working to make things better for everyone, and I want to do that properly." William and Catherine's comments during the interview demonstrated their careful consideration of their daughter's well-being alongside the historic significance of her appointment. "We've been amazed by Charlotte's maturity and genuine enthusiasm for public service," Catherine shared. "This title recognizes qualities she's already shown while providing structure for her development." The palace released additional details about Charlotte's program throughout the afternoon, including information about her specialized tutoring in constitutional history and her first official engagement scheduled for the following month. The careful pacing of these revelations kept media interest high while providing comprehensive information about the unprecedented initiative. Evening. News programs dedicated significant time to analyzing the long-term implications of Charlotte's appointment. Royal biographer Andrew Morton appeared on multiple broadcasts, describing the decision as visionary leadership from King Charles and predicting that Charlotte's preparation could serve as a model for future royal education. The Archbishop of Canterbury released a statement expressing the Church of England's support for Charlotte's new role, noting the importance of nurturing young people's commitment to service and the common good. This religious endorsement added another layer of institutional support for the historic appointment. International royal families began sending congratulatory messages throughout the evening. Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden's message particularly resonated, praising the wisdom of providing comprehensive preparation for royal service and offering to share experiences from her own youth spent preparing for future responsibilities. As the first day of Charlotte's new role concluded, palace officials reviewed overwhelmingly positive coverage and public reaction. The careful months of preparation had paid off spectacularly, with media and public opinion embracing the innovative approach to royal development that Charlotte's title represented. Charlotte herself ended the day with a quiet family dinner at Adelaide Cottage, where she shared her excitement about the day's events with her parents and brothers. George and Louis had watched some of the television coverage and expressed pride in their sister's achievement, demonstrating the family unity that would prove essential for Charlotte's success. The evening brought reflection on how completely the royal landscape had changed in just one day. Charlotte's appointment had created new possibilities for royal service, while honoring traditions that stretched back centuries. The success of this first day suggested that King Charles's bold vision for his granddaughter's future was already beginning to fulfill its extraordinary promise. 6 weeks after the historic announcement that made Princess Charlotte the youngest member of the royal family to receive such formal recognition, the true impact of her extraordinary new title was becoming evident across Britain and throughout the Commonwealth. The initial excitement had settled into sustained public interest and genuine appreciation for the thoughtful way Charlotte was growing into her expanded role. Her first official engagement as Princess Royal in training had exceeded all expectations. The visit to Great Ormond Street Hospital's new pediatric wing had showcased Charlotte's natural empathy and genuine interest in meeting young patients. Hospital staff reported that children who had been nervous about the royal visit immediately relaxed in Charlotte's presence. Responding to her authentic warmth and appropriate conversation, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the hospital's chief pediatrician, later described Charlotte's visit as remarkable for its genuine impact on both patients and staff. The young princess had spent over 2 hours beyond her scheduled time, insisting on meeting every child who wanted to see her and asking thoughtful questions about their treatments and recoveries. The photographs from that visit, showing Charlotte reading stories to young patients and carefully listening to their experiences, had generated positive coverage across international media. More importantly, the hospital reported a significant increase in donations following Charlotte's visit, demonstrating the practical benefits of her new role. Charlotte's specialized education program was proceeding smoothly alongside her regular studies at Lambrook School. Professor Margaret Hartwell, the constitutional historian brought in to supplement Charlotte's learning, expressed amazement at her pupils' quick grasp of complex concepts about monarchy and governance. Princess Charlotte demonstrates an intuitive understanding of royal duty that is quite extraordinary for someone her age, Professor Hartwell noted. She asks questions that show she's thinking about how royal traditions can adapt to serve contemporary needs while maintaining their essential purpose. Integration of Charlotte's royal education with her normal school schedule had required careful coordination, but her teachers reported no negative impact on her academic performance or social relationships. If anything, Charlotte's increased confidence from her royal role seemed to enhance her classroom participation and leadership. Among her peers, more significantly, Charlotte's appointment had sparked broader discussions about modernizing royal preparation throughout Europe's remaining monarchies. Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark had publicly praised King Charles's innovative approach to preparing the next generation during a state visit to London, while Sweden's Crown Princess Victoria expressed interest in adapting similar programs for her own children, the Commonwealth. Response had been particularly enthusiastic. Canadian Prime Minister's office released statements praising Charlotte's natural connection with people of all backgrounds after viewing footage from her hospital visit. Australian media coverage consistently emphasized Charlotte's refreshing authenticity and predicted strong public support for her future visits to Commonwealth nations. Behind the scenes, Charlotte's personal development was proceeding exactly as her family had hoped. Regular evaluations by child development experts confirmed that her expanded role was enhancing rather than hindering her normal growth. Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, the family's consultant, child psychologist, reported that Charlotte showed increased self-confidence and social awareness without any signs of stress or pressure. Princess Charlotte has embraced her new responsibilities with remarkable maturity while maintaining the joy and curiosity appropriate for her age, Dr. Shaw observed. The careful structure of her program is allowing her to develop leadership skills organically rather than forcing premature adult behavior. The success was particularly evident in Charlotte's relationship with her brothers. Rather than creating jealousy or distance, Charlotte's new role had strengthened family bonds as George and Louis took pride in their sister's achievements. The three siblings were frequently photographed together at family events, displaying the natural affection that endeared them to the public. King Charles took particular satisfaction in observing Charlotte during private family gatherings. His granddaughter's questions about royal history and protocol demonstrated genuine engagement rather than dutiful compliance. During their regular monthly meetings, Charlotte would arrive with carefully prepared notes about things she had learned and ideas for future charitable work. "I've been reading about Queen Victoria's interest in hospitals," Charlotte had said during their most recent conversation. "Could we visit more children's hospitals? I think they might like having someone their age to talk with about being patients." Such insights confirmed Charles's belief that Charlotte possessed natural instincts for effective royal service. Her ability to identify opportunities for meaningful engagement showed maturity that impressed even veteran courtiers who had worked with multiple generations of royals.